We've got some great news, guys, and that great news being that we are back, baby. Denver, Gridiron, and Hoops. We're here to talk some basketball, some football, and we're not talking, what the world sees as football. We're talking about real American football, all right? So you guys just need to know that. This is David McDougal. I got with me VMAC, Vinny McDougal. Tell me, V, how you doing?
Good, yeah. There'll be a time for World Cup. We probably won't talk about it, but I'll definitely click on the World Cup game in the later rounds, just kind of check out what's going on. Definitely catch the final match. It was cool seeing, I think, Messi last time pull it out in the shootout. Um, I highly doubt the U.S. men's team will be there, but it's a whole another topic. We're not here to talk about that. We're going to talk about Denver Gridiron Hoops. So it's been good. It's been good. Now that you and I are worldwide streamers, professionally known, I've had to step up my budget game a little bit. So found some Boston. Stay with me here. For those that don't know, found some Boston pork butt on sale. For those that may not know, don't freak out on me. All right, just stay with me, okay? I'm talking 99 cents a pound. I'm talking discounted buns. It was $1.99 for an 8-pack of ballpark buns. And we already had barbecue sauce. So I pretended like I knew what I was doing from a seasoning standpoint and just dumped a bunch in there, threw it all in the crock pot. 8 hours later, had a delicious barbecue sandwich. So you got to shred the pork yourself. It doesn't come pre-shredded. You got to let it cook, let it simmer, shred it up, throw some barbecue sauce. If you got some picky eaters, don't mix the barbecue sauce in yourself. Leave it on the side. People, some people are like, I like barbecue, I don't like whatever. Leave it on the side. You can douse as much as you want or as little as you want. You get some pickles in there, maybe some mayo if you're feeling frisky. And I'm telling you, you could probably feed a solid 8 people off of that little buy there. So just throwing it out there. If you haven't tried it, don't be afraid. It is a thing. You don't have to have a smoker. I'm sure people are like, oh yeah, use your smoker. Good for you. I don't have a smoker. All right. I have a freaking crock pot that I can do queso in or shredded pork. So back off. I got a little testy there, but outside of that, feeling good. Just gotta get over some colds in this house, but outside of that, feeling good.
Yeah, so I was thinking to myself, like, if they don't like barbecue, shame on them. They just don't get to partake. But I know you're feeding toddlers, so I get it.
Yeah, I think barbecue is spicy. It's like serious barbecue sauce is not spicy. Okay, it has spices, but it's not spicy. All right.
Right.
I mean, you can't get spicy barbecue, but I'm talking Sweet Baby Ray's or whatever it is. It's not spicy, bro. All right.
Right. It's all about Casey Masterpiece. Come on. Come on. Casey Masterpiece.
Yes, we went. We went with Sweet Baby Ray's again. It was on sale. It's hard to pass up when it's on sale, but
Yeah,
if
that's
it's not on
understandable.
sale, Casey Masterpiece is definitely the go-to because it's a step up from King Super's version and a step below Sweet Baby. So just saying.
Casey Masterpiece, it's like the chef's kiss. Kind of like how the Broncos finally made a move this offseason, and it was a bit of a chef's kiss. That news being obviously Jalen Waddle coming over from the Dolphins to the Broncos. The trade including basically Waddle and a 4th rounder for a 1st round pick, 3rd round pick, 4th round pick. Now, obviously, it's a splash. Just in general, what are your first thoughts? Your kind of initial take, and then maybe where you stand now?
Yeah. Initially it was like, hey, finally, because you had called it. You're like, something big is coming. We don't know what it is. But they're not just sitting on their hands doing nothing. They're not just going to run it back like the Nuggets did. once upon a time. So you were spot on for all those, people out there think they know what they're talking about. No, you knew something was coming. So initial thoughts: the free agent wide receiver market this year, in my opinion, was way overpriced. Way overpriced. I mean, we're talking average production for top dollar. So if we just look at it right there and say we didn't have to pay out for Pierce, I think he ended up with like 100+ million, 114 some odd $1 million contract.
I think it was like
Uh,
140. That's the Colts guy, right?
yeah, okay, 140. So
Yeah.
I was even either way. If you have a 100 in front of his contract, I'm sorry. Like I don't see it. Maybe hey, I'm not an NFL talent evaluator, right? I get it, but that seems like a lot of money for average production, especially considering you have probably the last 2 years the most consistent running back in professional football. And that sure does make your job a lot easier as a wide receiver when everybody's got their eyes in the backfield looking for Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah.
Um, then you go to like Romeo Dobbs, who didn't get that kind of contract, but still got pretty significant money. I think he was like in the 12 to 15 per for his contract. So the market, we came in well above what those others were getting paid from a talent to dollar standpoint. He obviously is making a good chunk of money. I know we're not responsible for the entire thing, and it's going to be on the books for a couple of years, but we're hoping that his abilities over the top is going to open up everything else. And that's what's interesting to me about the move is when I think of Bo Nix, I think very accurate short and intermediate throws. And that deep throw is, I mean, he still can throw the deep ball, right? We had some accuracy stuff this year, but it could be we just didn't have the right player to open it up over the top for him. And that could be exactly what Waddle does for Knicks, is gives him that talent at the third level, which is really just going to open everything else up for us because you have to, again, just account for Waddle in that deep game. So I know you asked for a quick one, but those are kind of some of my initial thoughts on it.
Oh, you're good. And so like so just to kind of piggyback what your closing part there was about Waddle with the deep ball. I mean, apparently most of his targets came like middle of the field, kind of shorter, where he actually ends up with yards after catch. He actually was fourth in the league in yards after catch, which
Okay.
to me, with like I think he only had 900 last year. That's pretty impressive to be fourth in the league in yards after catch. So the way I've been listening to some of the guys that were in Miami talk about him, and they said basically what they think the Broncos got was basically what Demaryius Thomas used to do, where if you throw that bubble screen out there, and he's going to turn it into an actual, positive play. And the Broncos, they love screens, they love all those things. So I think we're going to see a bit of that. But to kind of backtrack to just the original point of the thoughts on the trade and the take and whatnot. At first I was a little bit confused. And by confused I just meant, did the talent equate to the trade that had occurred? Um, but then the more I thought about it, like the first rounder's basically a second. The
Yep.
third rounder's basically a fourth. The fourth rounder's basically a fifth. So like to get the guy for a second, fourth, fifth, like that makes it a lot more palatable. You know what I mean? And then they're taking a huge chunk of the salary hit this year. I think we're ended up paying them like 5 million, and they're taking the rest of that salary chunk. And then next year is when it's really going to hurt. It's going to be like 27 million. And then I think we get him for one more year after that, if I remember correctly, and that one will be right around the same total. I could be mistaken. It could just be 2 years. I might have to look a little closer at that. But overall, I tell you what, if people like Aqib Talib are saying that this guy is a weapon that we didn't have before, and we're going to be looking different, if people like like that or saying things like that, I'm just super excited about it. Philip Lindsay was talking about him as a former teammate. He's like, this guy's work ethic is phenomenal. He's a great teammate. He's like, he'll talk a lot of trash, like on the practice field and everything like that, but you don't hear him talking trash outside of the game or anything like that. It's just basically the way I heard everything. It's he sounded like a dog, and to tell you the truth, the more I heard about him, the more he sounded like Emmanuel Sanders to me. So really excited about what he's going to bring to this team. And I think for the price, I think it ended up being a great trade. Specifically because other than the notes I had mentioned, this year apparently like the draft itself is graded as like a C minus. So it's like a year where everyone's like, the talent's maybe not quite there. Perfect time to make a deal like this.
Either that or they'll end up being like 10 Hall of Famers and
Right?
everybody will completely like undervalue the draft. No, that's good. That's good to hear, right? You hear from teammates, you hear from former Broncos who are stay bleeding blue and orange because Akeem's been on multiple teams and he seems to gravitate towards the Broncos on his own little show. Well, I guess it's not his show, but him and Skip Bayless. So that's cool. That's cool to see. And the other thing that this signals, and I haven't heard much from this aspect, and this is where I'm headed, is this signals a shift in who's going to be driving the boat for this team now. To me, this signals a shift that we're not going to be relying on the defense to win games anymore. We're heavily focused on trying to be old school Saints where we're putting up a ton of points. And you could argue whether or not that'll be, effective or not. Obviously, we just saw Seattle, have this dominant defensive performance. Um, but more times often than not, scoring points is what's valued in this league and what wins a lot of games.
Yeah.
So to me, that's an interesting shift. And I don't know if you can really expect the defense to just continue to perform the way that they've performed. I know they have a lot of talent on the team, but just the the days of having a dominant defense, 3, 4, 5, 6 years, that feels like a early 2000s type, football versus we're in 20 about to be 2026, 2027 season. The Ravens that were just consistently good for so many years. You just don't see that as much anymore. So
Yeah.
I don't mind the shift in direction, the shift in focus, the money that they're putting towards that offense, and this should give Bo absolutely no excuse to perform outside of injury. You have weapons on the outside, X and Y. You have, I know people are saying the tight end position is a gap, but you know, I still think Evan Ingram can play really solid where he's at, especially if there's even more attention being paid to Waddle and Cortland Sutton. You have a rookie running back coming off what I think he had 12 total touchdowns, somewhere in that range. And to say that he's maybe have a sophomore slump, maybe. We're hoping obviously for some health with JK, but he has weapons at every position now, and he has a solid offensive line to go with it. There's no excuse, and it's not that Bo has underperformed, but really right now this should be his best season of any season because of everything he has around him.
And what a perfect time when, let's be real, this is, I mean, I personally, Bo Nate's fan club over here, I think the contract should already be in place. They should already be doing that stuff. But what a perfect time. You give him these weapons, and let's determine, is he actually our franchise guy? So that will be really the key indicator on how this goes forward is we need to determine, is this indeed the investment we need to make? And I think that it's honestly just shaping up perfectly because the things that adding Waddle does for our team is kind of multifaceted. So, like for example, people respect him around the league as a playmaker. So all of a sudden, we're we're less likely to see double teams on Cortland Sutton. We're less likely to see a 4-3 base defense out there and or sorry, less likely to see a 4-3 base defense and more likely to see nickel. So that way they're respecting our kind of, our wide receiver corps, which means if Dobbins is back or whoever's in the backfield is going to see a lighter front seven box, like, so just in general, I do think that it's going to have a lot of effects. By all means, I don't always think that a wide receiver spot is going to be, a difference in terms of overall, like, make or break a team. But I do think that this is going to have an interesting effect on the team. And more than anything, he just seems like he's going to be a good culture fit. Um, Best friends with Pat Sertan already, going back to college. That can't hurt, because when the dog on your team tells you guys, hey, this is my guy, they're like, all right, well, let's ride, let's go.
Yeah, and again, I think they probably got him for about as cheap as you could. If they would have pulled this trigger last year, it probably would have been more expensive. And not knowing Bo Nix would have got hurt, he would have been nice to be on the team last year too. But I mean, it's the piece that's so tough is you see teams just make it to that pinnacle of like AFC Championship and they don't get back there. And I just don't want that to be this team. But then when you look at the moves they made, right, we're for the most part running it back, but we also have an extremely talented wideout we brought in. We'll see, if they go flashy in the draft or they just kind of stick with development type guys that they can bring in. We'll see how we can replace JFM's productivity. I know I think it was a third rounder a couple years ago that they're expecting to stay, put up some of those minutes. I guess overall, the only thing I'm disappointed in with this offseason is that they re-signed Stidham, but that's just
Well,
maybe my own personal bias over how poorly he played.
I could be mistaken, but I believe he was already under contract.
No, well, maybe they re-signed him to just a lesser deal then,
Maybe
but
that's the case.
there was a deal made with him, and after last year, I don't know how you still have him on the team, but that's just my take.
Well,
Because
and it's so funny because people, like, you hear people with their takes on social media or whatever it may be. They're like, "Oh, well, you need a backup quarterback." Yeah, you need a backup quarterback to go in there and be able to, like, do anything. Um, he literally proved that he was incapable. So to kind of roll with that, I'd rather see Sam Ellinger. I mean, come on, bring me some Tim Tebow back. I'd rather that than deal with this. And to tell you the truth, I mean, you knew my opinions going into it, and I was very, very negative. I did put on, a nice orange and blue sunglass for when we decided to throw down the score predictions, but I was devastated as soon as Bo Nix went out, and tried to put some hope into it, but it hurt. The timing was
still
just
stings.
so terrible, man. Because how often do you get number one seed by in the first round? It's just, yeah, it's tough to get
Beat
to that
beat the
spot.
Bills, in such just an exciting fashion.
Hmm.
Don't even need to put up more than 10 points to win in the next round. So, anyways, we're done rehashing that. We're looking forward. Bo Nix is going to have his best season of his career. He should be able to put up, I don't know, MVP numbers, but in the conversation. Between wins and stats, I think he'll be in the conversation next year.
Yeah, and more than anything, I do think that it is going to have a balancing effect on the team. If you guys can hear her, my dog's in the background yelling at me. Um, Sorry about
Bro,
that.
you got to make sure they're fed, water,
Dude,
go for a
she's
walk,
she's so spoiled, man. She gets everything she wants in terms of just me time. That's all she wants is time with
Yeah.
me.
Why am I not in your lap right now?
Yeah, what are you doing? Why do you have a life? But real quick to swing things here, Denver Nuggets. We go from a lot of hope on the Broncos side with the Waddle and all that to the situation we find ourselves in with the Nuggets. Oh, Vinny, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I have told you via text. I just don't think we have it this year. And as much as it hurts to say that, it's more from a makeup of the team than it is anything else. Like, for example, I do think when healthy, everyone combined, like something could happen. Just the combination of the new coach, the kind of attitude the team has, and honestly, more than anything, the softness. Their just willingness to back down when things get gritty. I just don't see it happening this year. What about you?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I've been in denial. I was just hoping that, all these injuries was the cause. I was hoping that, it wasn't Adelman and that we didn't make a mistake by letting Malone go, or we didn't make a mistake by bringing in Tom Thibodeau instead of Adelman. But it's very hard to watch this team. Um, for stretches, they look like NBA champions. And then for stretches, they don't even look like a play-in team. And that's what's most frustrating about watching this group is the just vast disparity in how they approach quarter over quarter, situation over situation. And it's not like Jokic is on the bench, stuff like it used to be. It's when he's on the floor now too. Um, it's not there's not any one person that you could stick this on, aside from maybe Adelman, just because he's the coach, right? That's where you look to. You're the rookie coach. You got to get the max amount out of this team that you can. And then I look back and like, hey, they had good stretches when they had people injured, but they were playing bad teams. Like, like that's great that you went into uh,
Philly.
Philadelphia and got a win. Um, Philadelphia's not an NBA, not an Eastern Conference final contender. They're not an NBA final contender.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff like that. It's just really challenging. And then the other piece that I'll say, and I don't want to speak for everybody, but from what I've heard, seen, watched, read about the Nuggets, everyone has massively underrated how important Mr. Nugget is to this team. We all knew when Aaron Gordon went down, it's like, oh man, Aaron Gordon's down. Like, this is going to be tough. How are we going to get through this? We are nowhere near the same team when he's not playing. You would think Jokic and Murray, both healthy, both playing at a high level, would be able to overcome his absence in terms of just ability to compete at that next, Western Conference final type level. But when he is not playing, they are just nowhere near that level. And it's to me, I didn't see that coming. I see it now that he's been back in spurts. When he's back, he's playing, and you could still tell he's somewhat limited. He's not going for big dunks. He's not doing some of the things we're used to seeing him do. But when he's playing, we look like a really good basketball team. And when he's not playing, we can't beat a G League out in Memphis, a G
Yeah.
League team from Memphis. And no knock to what they put on the floor in Memphis, but there's not too many names out there that are going up for any All-Star ballots here anytime soon. So I don't know. What are you thinking?
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm pretty much on the same boat in terms of obviously for us to have any chance, we got to get healthy, and the the prospects are pretty slim right now. For example, with the salary that Jamal Murray has, it just really hurts because even though he's taken a step up, the more I look at the roster construction, the more I realize that since he's kind of a codependent piece with Jokic, also the future is what I'm now concerned about in terms of salary cap. I'm always the type that'll look at a salary cap table and be like, all right, this team has this amount of years before they're kind of like SOL. And looking at their salary cap next year, Jokic is due another 4 million. Jamal's due another 4 million. Gordon's due another 9 million. Cameron's due another 2 million. Zeke Naji's still on the team. Christian Brown jumps from 5 million to 21 million. So not only are we going to lose Peyton Watson, probably lose Tim Hardaway Jr. because after this year he's going to get a good contract, and by good contract I mean probably like an MLE is my assumption because he's balling out right now.
Yeah.
So we are going to lose talent next year, and it's going to be the same thing of run it back when the talent is just not there. So I'm not going to lie, and sorry to be the downer guys, but we got to break up this core next year. It's just the only way to continue to maximize Jokic's window. And that's just unfortunate to say.
Yeah. The window felt like this was the last year of the window to me. And that's why I was so excited coming into the season. I was like, okay, like we could make a real push for this. Just find a way to get out of the West, and we got ourselves a second ring. And now more and more, like you said, it's looking like the window is if not already closed, it's closing very fast. And we do have to ask some tough questions of Jokic, like, are you willing to go through a rebuild with a mid-market team? 'Cause that's the tough thing about basketball is like, look at LeBron's punk behind, never had to go through any type of rebuild whatsoever. I guess you could say the early years in Cleveland were kind of like a rebuild, but they tried to give him as much talent as they could there in his early years. Meanwhile, Jokic, is he willing to go through it? I don't know.
Yeah, I think they could keep Gordon, but basically Cam, uh, Jamal, they just have to go. 75 million between the two of them is not gonna cut it.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, and honestly, Christian Brown, I told you from the beginning that they missed the mark by about 6 million on that contract.
yeah,
You either get him for 15 or you trade him. And they decided to sign him for 21 plus. So,
yep,
uh, yeah, and like I said, sorry for being Debbie Downer, guys, but I'm just being realistic here. Between Murray, Cam, and Christian Brown, that's almost 100 million.
yep, and not getting 100 million of production. Uh, I know if you look at the last 5 games, Christian and Cam have been playing great, but that's 5 games. And I mean, Christian's been hurt, so you got to give him something there. I don't know that so. I mean, if we say we're still in the window this year, like in health, we'll say health is one thing. I mean, the other thing we need to fix that I'm seeing is just everybody's reluctance to take it to the rim in any way, shape, or form, aside from Murray and Jokic. Nobody is once they're getting run off the 3-point line, like, let me just take it to the rim and see what happens. Seen it occasionally from Tim Hardaway Jr., maybe not as much as I'd like. I know he's shooting 40 some odd percent from three, but I'd still love for you to, use the fact that everybody's flying out after you to change up, how you attack the rim a little bit. Same with Cam Johnson. I know he's done a little bit more as of late. To your point, it's just once Aaron Gordon comes back fully and I don't know, maybe they're going to play him every other night until the playoffs hit and then just gamble and risk it and see what happens and just play him, each game of the series. And you would think Peyton Watson being 23 would bounce back quicker from a hamstring than this, but Jalen Williams, it's the same thing with him in OKC. He's been out for what feels like ages.
Yeah.
So it's tough.
It's almost like, what's the point of the youth? No, I'm just kidding.
Like seriously, 23 to hammy, like get out there, bro. Like,
Yeah.
but because I mean, Aaron Gordon, I get it. Like he's been high flying for a decade plus, So
Yeah. And I know this take probably won't go over well for most people, but I think that we just need to do what it takes to re-sign Peyton Watson. And if it means blowing up half of this core, I think he's the only guy on the roster that has a ceiling that matches Jokic's the rest of his career. And what I mean by that is he's a two-way player, which is like super pivotal to have. That's why I was saying Aaron Gordon would be one of the people that, despite his 31 million he'll be making, makes sense. Because I tell you what, if you start putting a bunch of defense around Jokic, like he'll make them, they'll still score. You know what I mean? Like everybody scores when Jokic is on the floor. So you need defense, and more than anything, honestly, you need grittiness. You need, now, not to say Peyton Watson's the most gritty guy, but he does give that element of, you know, basically the help side defense and stuff like that, which teams struggle against. Um, but it's funny because a while back I was thinking, Lou Dort would be the perfect person for the Nuggets, and the Thunder signed him all cheap. And then you're like, or before that, you were like, Caruso would be awesome for the Nuggets. Thunder signed him all cheap. Both of those guys, the way they play basketball, would work so dang well on the Nuggets. But we just always end up with the soft versions of that.
yeah, it's so tough because Wemby, Castle, and the Spurs are only going to get better. OKC's not going anywhere. Once LeBron's salary is off, the Lakers, who do they go? Who do they go get? Because it's the Lakers. They're going to pick somebody unless they let Austin Reeves go. I don't know. It's, like I said, I'm trying to be optimistic and say, all right, we're still in window. We got 3 potential matchups if we don't somehow, some way play ourselves in the playing game, which would be Rockets, Timberwolves, Lakers in the first round. And Ant has some kind of injury going on. Um, I don't think he's going to be out for long, and he'll be back in the playoffs. And he has always given us fits, like for what 3-4 years now. Um, the Lakers are the Lakers. Luka can score 40, 50 on any given night. So for me, if we can find a way to position ourselves to play against the Rockets in the first round, that might give us some more time to get, more time to get healthy, and might give us some confidence heading to OKC.
Yeah, I mean, it could be worse. Like, if you think about it, we could be like the Rockets, where they trade away a bunch of pieces to bring in Kevin Durant, and then basically turn what looked like a rising ship, kind of like OKC Thunder, into a falling star. So, it could be worse. And I tell you what, like, despite the doom and gloom, I do see a potential route this year, and that potential route might as well line it out. Um, we find ourselves playing the Thunder in the first round, build up that confidence, like you said, or sorry, not Thunder, Rockets, like you said, build up that confidence, and more than anything, um, teach the team that, like, how to win again. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
they need to get in that playoff atmosphere and realize, oh yeah, this is what we used to do. Um, and then hopefully from that point, start to stack some success. Uh, I do think that the Thunder, just because their ability to go so deep, I do think that it's not going to be as much as a concern against the Nuggets this year, just because I think they are deeper despite all the struggles. So I do think that we can mitigate that to a degree, but they definitely got their work cut out for them, and they just gotta work on it and try to get it done.
Yeah, I mean, and it is sometimes it's just the little stuff. We bring OKC to, you know, the final 30 seconds of the game, essentially. And SGA hits a three. Oh my goodness, here we go. They give him the ball again, and somehow, some way, we have Christian Braun on him the entire game, and then Spencer Jones ends up on him on the final play of the game, and it's like what are we doing here? Like you had him there the entire time, and now you're going to switch it up and put you know on the switch put Spencer Jones out there. It's like little stuff like that, and I'm sorry, Spencer Jones is a horrible matchup for SGA.
Yeah, yeah.
Horrible matchup. He
He's not near
he's a
fast
defender.
enough. He doesn't have quick feet. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like he does to a degree, but he's big, so it's tough.
yeah, he's a solid defender, and who can guard SGA? I totally get that, but
Yeah.
I'd rather have Christian Brown and then eventually Peyton Watson. That'd be nice if he was helping put in some minutes on SGA just to make it tough on him. And then against the Lakers, free throw killed us. Aaron Gordon, we were up 3 with, I don't know, it was like 20 seconds left, misses a free throw and opens the door. And then Austin Reeves gets a self rebound and, forces overtime. And then we just fall apart again. Like, couldn't even score a point for like the first 3-ish minutes, 4 minutes in that game. So it's like, there is a silver lining. We just need to see a little bit more. I personally don't want to see too many minutes from Hardaway in closing time. I do like him getting some play time with the starters, some significant bench minutes. When it comes closing time, I don't like what he brings to the table in those final crunch minutes. So we'll kind of see what changes they have there. Valanciunas, man, I know he gets very limited minutes. I know it's super limited, but can you play without fouling, please? Like I'm begging you, bro. Like stop fouling people. Like he fouls so much on screens. Like they call him, it feels like they call 2 a game on him for screens. And then he gets beat down low or misses a rebound and then he adds a foul onto it. I'm like, dude, just please stop fouling. Please stop fouling, man. Um I know I'm hopping all over the place here, but outside
I
of
tell
that,
you, in the playoffs, he better foul a little bit more.
what that?
Hard ones.
How about make it worth it? Not one where you're setting a screen for
Yeah,
Tim Hardaway Jr. Like, just if he doesn't get around the screen, he doesn't get around the screen. It is
yeah,
what it is, dude.
yeah.
So I'll take the hard fouls, and then like you hate to see it. You see Murray with more fouls than points against the Lakers. I don't know how that'll probably never happen again, but it's just like little stuff like that. Like you're hurting yourself. Even the fouls he has, they did it last year where they put LeBron or Murray would guard LeBron and LeBron would back him down and he was able to play him without fouling and he just couldn't do it this last game. So
Yeah, I tell you what, as far as the playoff goes, our ultimate X factor is going to be Murray, because with him now stepping his game up in the regular season, averaging 25 as opposed to 20, it'd be interesting to see if he's got another gear. Because he's more or less averaging what his like playoff averages, if you get what I mean.
right,
So if he can now take that new status he's gained, or whatever you want to call it, and then parlay it into playoff success, say 30 a game, might be looking at a different set of rules in terms of what we're thinking.
true.
And maybe Murray's the key, despite me being upset that he's making 50 mil next year.
And if he can't get to that 30 mark, 28, or if you can't get to 28 and you still stay at 25, then give us 3 more assists a game.
Yep.
Like whatever production it is from him, or on the defensive end, if he steps it up on the defensive end, we're gonna need all to beat LA, to beat Spurs, to beat OKC.
Yeah. So yeah, sorry for the doom and gloom, guys, but hey, on the bright side, we got Jalen Waddle.
Hey, let's go. And hey, there's what 15-ish games for the Nuggets. Why don't you go, 12-3? over the next whatever it is, 15-ish games. Give us at least a 75% win rate. Secure a 4 seed. That way you can be at home. Although Denver fans, maybe you should start booing the team since we have a better away record than we do a home record.
Right. Yeah.
So if we could have everybody at the can boo and cheer against the Nuggets, maybe they'll feel more comfortable and get more wins at home.
Hey, maybe that's our route though. We go road each round because we have a better road record this year, and then end up winning on the road the chip.
It's very rare to see that in basketball.
Yeah.
Like, well, really any sport. Like, can you think of maybe hockey home away doesn't really matter too much. But yeah, most sports, it's like home cooking, and we don't have it.
Denver, Boston, Nuggets in 7.
Like it.
Yeah. All right, y'all. Thanks for joining us today. We got everything in, Broncos, Nuggets, depression, hopes. It all comes together. Comes in spades. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Thanks for joining us.
Peace.